Okay, there you go. Now you're connected to audio. You're muted right now.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Okay, I'm just so you know, I'm at work and I think I've got some time right now. Um, but if I get interrupted, I'll have to drop off. I apologize for that if it happens. Um, I've just got the one screen, so this will be a little difficult toggling back and forth to see you sometimes and see other things sometimes. So a couple of these I'm just going to work and let you see me work them. Okay. Um, I need you to pay attention to some details. Okay. You're still trying to send me files that are not named. It's the little things in this class that will help you be successful. So take the time to name your file. Take the time to name the tab that you're on. Okay. So um,
Now I have a question. How about the other one I sent? I didn't rename it.
uh, you got this one
Yeah.
and then this one. Yeah. So you,
Probably I might think like remaining, I think I've done it. Probably I didn't done it in the right way. So I just need
yeah.
to know.
So this is this the file you want to work on right now?
I sent many. The last one I named like homework, Fabiola Umutoniwase so hand three homework, handout three homework.
Yeah, that's what you named it. It's actually Unit Two's homework that you were sending. Um,
Oh,
so so yeah, let's work from this one then. It's the one I gave you some feedback. Like this one problem, you got this one correct. Okay, which was helpful. Um, and it looks like you worked with somebody a little bit to tried to help you because this is a little
yeah.
it's a
I
little.
asked one of friends to help me. We were
Mhm.
together, and then I was like, I don't really understand because when the time will be catching out, I'm really going through a lot. So I will sit here, also we sit here, we help me. I say, this is really what I'm doing, but I will still proceed your videos, see the videos, but sometimes I can find another data in the videos. I'll go to open YouTube video and check again. So I'll be like, I think here I can understand at all. Like, let me submit the way it is and see. Like last night, I didn't sleep at all because I was overstressed. And then that's my last course. And that's my last school. Like, I was really stressed plus this immigration program stuff we are going through. Me, I'm here in Oklahoma, so like it's not easy. Like I've seen some of my colleagues graduate, but till now last year they haven't gotten anything to do. So like it's that all anxiety and like stress, depressed. I'll be like, I'm trying to really work on this class, and so I was really confused. So I don't know
Okay, well
all those kind of things.
let's work some problems and see if we can help you. Okay.
Okay.
Um, So this is the most recent file you sent. You got this first one correct. It's great. Okay.
The first homework, chapter 8, question 1.
Yep. Chapter 8, question 1, you got correct. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Chapter 8, question 2, um,
Mm-hmm.
this is where I think you're probably, it's a little hard to tell what you did on this one because Solver was blank when I got the file. There's a few different ways that can end up happening. The way you had this one set up, once I populated Solver correctly, it ran correctly and gave the correct solution. It looks like you put in um, beginning values and then never actually ran solver is kind of what it looked like to me. But let's work this one a second time, okay? And let you see me do it. Um, so you
Oh,
can,
so it means I have to learn off solver again. My second question.
yeah, you have to run solver on each question. But what I'll do is this. First question: are you working on an Apple laptop or a Windows laptop?
Now I changed on Windows laptop.
You're on Windows, okay. So
Yeah, but before I was working on Apple's laptop.
they both will work. Apple can be a little more finicky with some of this. Um, I'm going to just re-solve Chapter 8, Question 2, okay, and let you watch me do it with all the details. And the reason is there is a problem exactly like it on the final exam, and there's one very similar to it on the Unit 2 exam. I need you to get braced for the fact that there is an enormous amount of work between you and finishing this class, okay? And you've got very few days to finish it. So you need to be kind of ready for really putting in some work. I'm just going to rearrange this sheet just a little bit before we start, okay? And I see somebody helps you with this, and it's fine if you like this style, but I'm going to go ahead and just delete everything that you had done before so you can see me do it from the beginning. I'm going to reset
Yeah,
solver.
because first, for the first video, you told me like I didn't use long like the right value. It's because I was following how you were doing it, so I didn't focus on using like the book value. I just followed how you were adding formula stuff on the
Gotcha.
values.
It's a,
That's why I'm
yeah,
getting that answers.
understood. So I'm just going to rework Chapter 8, Question 2. You got real close here, so you set it up really nicely. So what we're trying to do is find out the distance to two different locations, right? Okay. And you can put this anywhere. When you set it up, you liked doing the decision variables vertically like this, or whoever helped you did. If I've got two locations, something I like to do, so since I already have the X values in this column and the Y values in this column, the way I like to approach solving a problem like this is to set my decision variables up the same way.
Yeah.
I highlight, and then I like to add borders. Okay, so
Are you gonna send to me?
yeah, I'm going to send you this file,
Oh,
and I will
okay.
send you a link to the video we're doing too.
Okay.
And I'll tell you how to get some points on this. I want you to pass this class. I want you to get there. I do want you to understand very seriously. It's going to be very, very hard to get all this work done with the very small amount of semester you've got left. Okay.
Yeah.
So these are the two decision variables. Okay. I've got location 1 and location 2. You can do it like this, or you can do it like you did over here, where you've got X of 1 and Y of 1 and X of 2 and Y of 2. Both of them work. I always put numbers in here, so as I build the formulas, I can see if they're working. Okay. And I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to calculate distance to location 1 and distance to location 2, right? And you did this correctly.
Yeah,
The
but I
formula.
did distance to the one distance to and weighted distance.
Yeah, whoever helped you is fairly clever. So when they did, whoops, I'm sorry, I changed the wrong one. Whoever helped you here, yeah, so distance to 1 and distance to 2, and then a good formula in there for the weighted distance. Yeah, so it's the same approach, and this formula works really well. It's a square root. It's the least squares technique of finding the distance, and then the weighted distance. Okay, so I'm going to call square root of I do this similar to how you did it. Yeah. Oh, man. So I want this to feel familiar. So I've got this location, the X minus the X squared plus the Y minus the Y squared, okay? And and take the square root of that, and that creates that distance to that one, okay? So just highlighting it so you can see what we've done here. So site number 1,
Okay.
distance to location number 1. So whoever helped you on that helped you exactly right. That formula is great, okay? Now before I can copy it down the page or across the page, I've got to be able to make sure some things don't move on me, use the dollar signs. So I don't want this to slide out of the D column. And I don't want this to slide out of the E column, okay? Oops. Okay, then for this to go down the page, I want row 19 to be protected, so I can copy it. Okay, see what I've done there? And now I can copy that down the page and it'll work correctly in theory. Yep. Then move that over, but now when I copied it, I want to do location 2 this time. Okay. So now I've got the distance to location 2. Wonderful. Okay. Then the person that helped you for the weighted distance went ahead and found the minimum distance to each one of those and did the weighted all at once. I'm going to add an extra step in here. So I'm going to find which one of these was closer. I'm just going to find the minimum. So which one of these two locations is closest to site number 1, okay?
Mm.
And then I'm going to do the min times the weighted, okay? So I'm just doing it in 2 separate steps instead of as a separate formula. Okay, so that works in a very similar way, okay? And all that was correct. And then the objective here is the sum of all that, and that is correct, okay? I personally like to color code a lot of things, okay? And this is so that when you start to populate Solver, it's easy to find it again, okay? So my objective is here, and it is the sum of all min, weight, distance. Okay, so I'm going to say sum of all of these together, and that was roughly correct on that other model. Okay, now I can go into Solver. My objective is this thing here that I just talked about. I want to find the minimum of it by changing the cells that were my decision variables. Okay, let's solve. Okay, interesting. Oh, I see what I did. I had an error in my formula, and you let me get away with it. That's okay. It's definitely not your fault. So don't panic. I just got to fix a typo that I had in this formula. And this type of stuff happens. So if you try to run a model and it does something funny like that, most commonly you just had a typo someplace. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, it's getting a different solution. Good grief. Okay. And even if it gets a different solution, I can look at the model and I can tell if you got everything correct or not in your setup, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
I do sometimes like to go back and try different dummy values. There it goes. So I'm on an Apple, and sometimes it has a hard time getting all the way to convergence in one try. So that's why I did a little bit of a redo there. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, now this homework problem does not have a minimum distance required in it, but the final exam has a problem that does. So I'm going to do something for you here. I'm going to make a copy of this one that we were just working on. Okay. And say, what if? What if we had a constraint? Okay. And we label some things here. These were the decision variables. Okay. And you did a pretty good job of trying to do that in your homework this time. But let's say, what if we had a constraint? It wasn't in this problem, but what if it said no, oops, no site is allowed to be more than, let me pick something that I think will actually run on the first try. Let's say 60 miles. 60 miles from any given location. Okay. So what I've just said there is this minimum distance, and you can see in this list, this one's 62 miles, this one's 67, this one's 66. Mm-hmm. What if we told Solver that nothing can be more than 60? Okay. So we've got to do two things. We've got to say, okay, I'm going to skip down here to do this so you can kind of visualize what happens here. So I'm going to put a formula in that says the max. What is the maximum distance from any of these locations, right? Currently it's 67. That actually needs to be less than or equal to that 60 we just said. So we just claimed in this little sentence I typed in here that 60 is my limit, right? So this is going to be a constraint we need to add, okay? So I'm going to reopen Solver. And I'm going to add a constraint and say that this calculated maximum must be less than or equal to this 60 that I just added in there. And I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to solve it again. So what it did is it changed these locations. This is now a bigger number. The total distances is now more, but it made sure that everything in this list is less than 60. Okay? When you have time, go back and look at this spreadsheet, and I will send this to you, and watch this video again, because there is a problem on the final exam that is exactly like what I just did. Okay?
Okay.
And that would be able to help you. Okay? You kind of see how the distance problem works now?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get rid of this. Okay, so I think whoever you're working with was describing what math needs to happen in order for these calculations to take place, but then you didn't take this feedback and build actual formulas into this, okay? Man. Okay, so to solve this one, so this is your data table right here, and you've got your decision variables here. I'm going to insert a column, give myself a little more room to see what's going on here. Let me think of how I want to adjust this layout to help you a little more. So here's where my worry is and why I'm stopping and thinking right here a little bit. Whoever was helping you with this is good at math. I can tell that. So they're skipping some steps in their head and they're laying it out in a way that somebody that's very good with math can see it. Um, Probably not. I mean, I've already figured out from how much you've struggled with this class, you're not going to go into being an analyst with Excel with your career. Okay.
I don't
And
think
that's
so.
okay. Yeah.
And actually, shifting nursing school. So I'm just getting this degree done. I normally supposed to do finance. My degree was in finance, but the school told me like they don't have finance anymore, and I was here already. So honestly, I decided to do this, but it wasn't like it's just a no need one of choice I had.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, what direction do you think you want to go? How do you want to use your degree?
Honestly, I don't think I'm gonna use this degree because I already applied in OCCC for associate nursing degree, and then later I'll get my bachelor
Okay.
science, my bachelor degree. Yeah, I'm not gonna use this
And
at
this is your
all
final
because
class in this.
this is my final class. Yeah, so I'm not. That's why, like, I'm in the final year. I'm trying to find out what I can do because I don't really like this course. I don't like this project management courses at all because I didn't come here to do it. Like,
That's
wasn't my fault.
well, and that's okay. I mean, part of life at this stage is to figure out what you like and what you want to do. And I've changed direction with my career a couple of times. I've got 4 degrees now, so it's okay. Let's get you through this. If this is the only class you need to finish and pass, if you will commit to spend some real time with me over the next 2 weeks, I will pass you in this class. I will explain this to you so you can see it and get exposed to it, and we will get you through this class so that you can graduate. Does that sound good?
Thank you.
Yeah. So let me just I'll just keep explaining some of this. And what I'll do, I will simply work this homework set in front of you. And then what I want you to do is after I send you the file, if you will just put comments on
Okay.
on my solutions, I will give you credit for the homework of at least a C, okay? Then
Okay.
I'll send you the exam. I want you to try the exam, but I'll give you good partial credit if you put lots and lots of comments in there. So even if you're getting the wrong solution, do your best to interpret what you think you see. And then we'll do the same thing
Mm,
with Unit 3. But I'm going to run out of time today, but we'll get as much as we can today. If you'll take a look and at what times you might be able to do tomorrow morning or Friday morning or Saturday,
mm.
then we'll walk through this, okay? But you have my commitment. I will spend energy with you, let you at least see how this works, because the school requires me to try to do something if I'm going to choose to pass you. But I'm going to choose to work with you and pass you in this class, okay? So don't
Okay.
panic too much. We will figure this out together. Where are you originally from, being an international student?
I'm from Rwanda,
You're
but
Rwandan.
original I grew up in China.
Did you really? Wow,
Mm.
that's a long way from
Yeah, I
Rwanda.
did. Yeah, I did my bachelor degree there and some of my high school there
Okay,
in China.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get back in this file and keep working through it, okay? So now that I understand a little bit better the point of what we're trying to do, I know what they were trying to do here to walk you through this, but I'm going to give this in more layperson terms, okay? So, so this is, oops, these are constraints you'll need to meet in a little bit, okay?
Okay.
And this is a data table. So that'll give you a better opportunity to describe, comment on what you see in this. And I'll open a file in a minute to show you what I mean by put lots and lots of comments in here. So the question is asking for my decision variables, how much of fertilizer A do I need to use? How much of fertilizer B? And how much, whoops, fertilizer C, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the decision variables right here. Do this in yellow. And I'm just going to put numbers in there so you can see if the formulas are working. Now, based on the numbers I choose to put in here, I'm going to get certain results, okay? I'm going to have a, let me think of where I want to do this. Oh, I know how I want to do this. I'm going to have a calculated amount of nitrogen, a calculated amount of potash. Sorry, I'm having a hard time typing today, I guess. And a calculated amount of potassium. And whoever this is that's smart just also called it called it K for potassium, which is great. So I'm going to have formulas that I'm going to put in these three spots. Okay. There's two ways to do this formula, and I'm going to show you both just so you see it. Okay. I can say that the amount of fertilizer A times the amount of nitrogen in fertilizer A plus the amount of fertilizer B times the amount of nitrogen in fertilizer B plus the amount of fertilizer C times the amount of nitrogen in fertilizer C. That will calculate the amount of nitrogen that results from those decision variables. That's the little formula that whoever was helping you had you type in text, okay? But that right there is what they were wanting for you to see and visualize and accomplish, okay? You can use the function called sum product. It does the exact same thing, but I can highlight the whole array here, comma, and the whole array, whoops, we're doing potassium now, of potash now, and highlight the whole one there, and it does the exact same math, okay? It's just a little quicker to use sum product. But I will leave that first one with that formula keyed in like that so you can see it, okay? In Windows, I'm trying to remember which way it happens in Windows. If you double click on a cell, it'll show you the formula like this, okay?
Okay.
In Windows. That's the easiest way to get to it. Or if you simply click the cell, you can see up here in the formula bar what it is. But if you'll double click it, it'll use this color coded so you can peek at what my formula said, okay? Okay, now I need to know what the cost was. Oops, we're missing the cost in here. Let me find it. The data tables. Here it is. It's the price. So those are the prices. Okay. Now, what I'm going to have is for my objective function, my objective is to minimize total cost. I'm going to put that in this cell. I'm going to highlight it. Okay. And I'm going to do that same sum product of my decision variables times these costs. Okay. So with my dummy values that are in there, based on what this is now the complete model. And I get it, you're probably not going to go this direction with your career, but something everybody in this class struggles with is you keep thinking that you need to solve the problem. You don't. What you need to do is create a relationship between the constraints you know you have, your objective, and your decision variables, and let solver solve the problem. So we're done. This is all you have to do on this one. Okay. Now I populate solver. I go to solver. I click reset all to make sure it's clear. Set my objective. Well, we said what that was. I want to minimize this cost. Okay. By changing the cells, we identified those. It's these decision variables. Subject to the constraints. I'm going to add the constraint that these calculated values that we came up with must be greater than or equal to these minimum constraints that we said we had earlier. Click OK. And I'm going to click Solve. And that's the answer. Okay. Now something I'm going to do here, I'm going to open Solver back up. And I am, oops, I got to move myself out of the way. I took a screenshot there, and I am going to paste the screenshot into this spreadsheet so that you can see when you do your comments what that is. Now, what do I mean by comments? Let me open, I think here where I put it.
Will you write it down what you need on comments?
Yes, so I'm going to find a file here. I'll show you while we're talking, and then I will also send you this file. So a few people in the class are particularly good at putting comments in. So I copied a few of theirs on what I mean by having great comments. Man, where did I put it? So bear with me a moment. I'll find it for you. Ah, here it is. Okay, and they're not comments on that exact problem. It's actually comments on a different problem. Okay, but there's a few ways you can do it. You can see this student likes to highlight a bunch of cells and merge them together and comment, just point things out. Like in this case, they said all battery units are made, none are bought because battery units are more efficient of fabrication time and cheaper to produce than to buy. This other student likes using these little bubbles. This is actually much more time consuming. I would not recommend doing the bubbles. This other student just likes to put in, they insert a shape. If you don't know how to do that, I'll show you real quick. You can click on the insert command in Excel and you can choose shape. And one of the shapes is this thing right here. It's got a letter in it. That's a text box. And if you come over here and just stretch it out, it gives you a text box that you can just type directly into it. This is the easiest way. This is the way I put comments back in on your grades. And they just comment on what they see in the model, okay? So on the one that we just worked here, what I would want you to do is, and I'll insert one for you and get it started. But I want you to think, okay? It's here on shapes. You can stretch this in here and you'll get a text box. So you would say something like, you're looking at this and say, to get the correct amount of each chemical, we don't even need to use fertilizer A. And then keep on typing, okay? So just say something about it. Anything you think you observe here, I want to know. So the way I will be able to give you credit for this class is even if you're wrong, try to look at the solution we got and type several sentences about it. Okay, that is enough for me to meet requirements. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Let's check. I apologize.
Thank
Let me check
you.
my time.
Thank you so much, Professor. Appreciate it.
Yep. We'll get through this. Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna work on this before I go to work, and then.
Yep. And I have a little more time. Do you have a little bit more time?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Then we'll start chapter 9, question 4. Okay. And then chapter 9, question 7, I probably won't have time to get to, but the example of what good comments look like is what other people did on chapter 9, question 7. This one's exceptional. I think this is one of.
But were you not on chapter 9, question 2 on fertilizers question, chapter 9?
I'm sorry, ask that again.
I mean, like, were we not talking about on chapter 9? I mean, chapter 9, question 7 on the fertilizer. I mean, I'll see it on your comment. It's okay. Like, I was asking if we're not working on chapter 9, question 7.
Yeah, we'll
Because
we'll get to it,
yeah.
but I may run out of time before I can get to it today. So take a look if you can do.
I mean, for what if I do like a comment as you told me on chapter 9 and chapter 9, question 7, like explain, I do comments.
So I will work all the problems for you. I just may not get to chapter 9, question 7 before we've got to hang up today. So
Okay.
I'll try to get through chapter 9, question 4, and then let's find some time, either tomorrow morning or Friday morning or Saturday, and I'll work chapter 9, question 7, and then you can try the Unit 2 exam, and then I'll walk you through Unit 3 homework next. Okay?
Okay.
So let's do that. I'll see how far I get today. Whoops. So this one, you had the wrong problem in here. So let's delete that. I'm going to delete all this. Okay. And then bear with me for a moment. That was that one. Here we go. We'll do chapter 9, question 4 next. See. Okay. And this is the file. I'll send you 2 files when we get done today. One of them is this one that we're working on. And the other one is the one that has examples of what good comments look like. You know what? I'm going to leave this in here because I'm not going to change color codes. Okay. So I don't forget, I'll do this for you too. Okay. And when there's a text box in here, like this one I just built for you, all you have to do is get on top of the text box and click it, and you can type right into that text box. When you're done typing inside the text box, just click anywhere outside of it and it'll close it. Okay? So after I work this one, you'll spend some time, and we'll summarize this before I hang up today. But let's work this one. Okay? So out of the book, we know that we had $1 million as an available investment. All right, bear with me a minute. I'm having some health trouble myself.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I get to have open heart surgery as soon as the semester's over. So I've been postponing it to try to get through with you guys. So in the book it shows.
Are you gonna have it here in Oklahoma?
I am. I'm having it at Oklahoma Heart Hospital on Memorial
Which
Road.
hospital? Because I'm working at Integris Hospital.
Are you really? My wife is a PA with Integris. So.
Okay.
Yep. She runs the clinic in Newcastle. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the one in the Oklahoma City.
No, it's just a family medical practice in Newcastle, Oklahoma. That's where she is.
Okay.
But all right, so the book told you this data table. These are the, and the thing is, this problem gets solved the same way that the fertilizer problem gets solved. They're both mixing problems. In the other one, you had to mix fertilizers to reach certain criteria. In this case, you're going to mix different bonds to reach certain criteria. The book told you have these constraints. The worst return allowable is 7.2%. The longest duration allowable is 6 years. the maximum you can have for any individual bond is 40%, and you need to have all the bonds represented. I've already put dummy values in that add up to be 100%. Okay, I'm going to do this just so you can see that it'll do it. Even if my dummy values don't add up to 100%, Solver will fix that for me later. I need to find out what's the maximum of any one of these bonds. Currently it's 30%. I need to calculate what the blended return is. Okay, and I'll show you the formula, and then I'll show you again how it's easier to do it the other way. So I can say, okay, the percent of bond 1 I'm using times the expected return of bond 1 plus the amount of bond 2 times the expected return of bond 2 plus the amount of bond 3 times expected return of bond 3 plus the amount of bond 4 times expected return of bond 4 plus the amount of bond 5 times the expected return of bond 5. That will give you a blended return that mixes those bonds together. So all of these, when done at these percentages, ends up with this return. Okay? Now, some product works exactly the same way, and I can say the blend of the bonds times my worst case returns calculates that, and you can see already my dummy values come up with a worst case return of 6.8, which the constraint, the worst allowable, is 7.2. So Solver will fix this blend so that gets above 7.2. I have a sum product as well for the amount of each bond with the duration. Okay, so now I have my constraints calculated, and I have a first annual return. I don't know why I didn't make that green. I almost always do those. This is my objective. I want to maximize my return, right? And that is going to be this blended return times the amount of money that I invested. And because I know the answer, I know that column's not going to be wide enough to show it. Okay, and that's it. That's all you have to do to build this model. So now I'm going to go to Data, Solver. We identified my objective. I want to maximize it. Yep. By changing these cells, subject to the constraints. I need to add these. This worst blended return must be greater than or equal to this limit, worst allowable. Add another one. This blended duration must be less than or equal to this 6 years. Add another one. The maximum represented bond we had earlier must be less than or equal to this 40% requirement. Add one more, that the sum of my bonds must be equal to 100%. Click OK, click Solve, and that's the answer. Okay. I'm going to reopen Solver, take a screen capture for you. This so you can see it. Okay. Close that. I'm going to paste that right into your spreadsheet so you can see it while you're doing your comments. Let's do this. I'll make this comment box a different size and shape. Okay. And the kind of comments you might want to say are, based on the formulas that we used and the constraints, the calculated, these are my calculated values here. The calculated blended worst case return ended up at 7.665%, which is greater than the 7.2% requirement. That's all I'm talking about on comments. Just observations. Hey, my blended duration ended up exactly equal to my maximum allowable. Hey, my maximum bond ended up being bond number 1, which makes sense because it had the highest expected return, it had a good worst case return, and it hit 40%. So just type, okay?
Okay.
Observe and type, okay? Um,
Okay.
all right. And
All right.
I do have some time, so let's go ahead and tackle Chapter 9, Question 7. Okay. It's a fairly involved question, so I'm actually going to work a little quicker on it once I get the base data copied. Yep, I'm going to use this layout right here. This is the one I like. Oh, that's why the colors were different. When I copied and pasted it, it changed the colors of the shading. I like using blue for calculations that I compare to constraints. I like using yellow for decision variables. I'm going to add some more labels here so it's easier for you to put good comments in there. Okay. All right, now I'm going to work pretty quickly. Just talk while I do it. Okay. So on a problem like this, I just start building formulas that create relationships to the decision variables. So the hours that get used is the hours per unit for electronic times the number of units for electronic that I'm going to make. Okay. And I'm going to add, whoops, I didn't get both of them. That times that. Okay. I'm going to add a dollar sign in row 19. Okay. And I'm going to copy. Oh my goodness. I'm getting in a rush and making mistakes now. Okay. Okay. Whoops. That's what I meant to do. Okay, so that creates a relationship between the hours it takes to do each one and the amount we plan to make of each one. The slack is the amount of hours that are available minus the number of hours that were used. Okay. I need to calculate how many I'm choosing to buy. Because in a minute I'm going to compare that to the buy limit. I have a demand already and I have a sum already. The profit to make equals the number of them I make times the sales price minus the number I'm going to make times the cost to make per unit. Yep. Okay. Then profit to buy is going to be the number of them I choose to buy times the sales price minus the number I choose to buy times the buying cost. It's the same for battery units. My profit is the sum of all of those. Okay, and this is my objective function. Okay, and I'm going to want to maximize it. All right, let's see if I did this correctly. I go to solver. My objective is this function here. I want to maximize it by changing these 4 cells subject to the constraints cell references. The hours used must be less than or equal to the hours available. Add another one. The calculated by must be less than or equal to my by limit. Add another one. My sum of my manufacturing needs to be equal to my demand. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if there's another one I'm missing or if that's it. I think that's it. Hit solve, and that is the answer. Because I remember working it before. Okay. So, like I did before, I'm going to reopen Solver. Take a screen capture. So you can see what was in Solver. I'm going to take my comments out here. No, I'm not either. I'm going to leave those in there. Those might actually be helpful for you to build your comments on. Insert a text box for you. Let's say type comments here. Okay. That's part A. Okay, now part B and or actually it's part C and D. Part B is these comments. Okay, so don't worry about that. I'm going to make a copy of this model. Move it to the end. Create a copy. Say OK. I'm going to rename this one Part C. Okay, and for Part C, what they wanted to know is if you took this fabrication right here, highlight it in a different color just so we know what we're doing here. This is what we're changing. If we added 10% onto this, okay? So I'm going to say time is 1.1. So now it's 2,200 instead of 2,000. If you added 10% on, how does that change the solution? I'm going to back up a second. This is now bugging me. I'm going to reformat these cells to have less decimal places because that is not helpful. Okay. There. Do it again over here. I just realized it was silly looking. Okay. So when you start doing comments, and this is the exact problem, I'm going to send you the other students' examples of comments. You might say something like, hey, in the solution, we chose not to buy any battery units. And then what you can do is look up here and say, hey, why do we think maybe we did that? Well, the cost to buy the battery units, $21.50, where I can make it for $16. So that was the reason we probably didn't want to do that one. You know, whatever conclusions you want to draw. So now in Part C, it says, well, what if you had more time in fabrication? Well, what I'm going to do now is rerun Solver. Since I copied the tab, I don't have to repopulate Solver. It's already attached to this model. I'm going to click Solve. Okay. Click OK. In your comments, what you would want to do is say, hey, it looks like, comparing it back to Part A, when I have more fabrication time, it looks like instead of buying 13,333 units, now we're only buying 12,000 units. We chose to make more of our own units. And we chose to make more of this particular unit. So look at the totals that are here and compare them to what the totals were in Part A. And make comments about what you chose to produce when you had more fabrication time. Okay? That makes sense? Now I'm going to copy this tab again. Create a copy. Move it to the end. Click OK.
A page. Paige, how old are you?
And now I'm going to rename this again to Part D. Click OK. Now in part D it says, how long will this keep going? Okay, I just realized this formatting's bad too. There, that's better. I'm cleaning up this formatting so it's easier for you to interpret. Okay. And in part D, it basically says, how long can this go on? How much longer can you keep raising fabrication before something else becomes an issue? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a really big number in fabrication. I'm going to say 5,000. Okay. And then I'm going to run solver again. Okay. And this time when you comment, what I want you to do is figure out, okay, now what became the constraint? Okay. So which one of these has 0 slack now? Well, it's shipping. So when fabrication has lots and lots of time available, the next thing that prevents you from making more profit is shipping. Okay. And what I want you to put in the comments is compare, hey, when I have unlimited fabrication time and shipping became my constraint, I now make 307,000 in profit, whereas before I had 301,000 in profit, and in my original model I had 298,000 in profit. Err on the side of lots and lots of comments, okay? Showing you what some of the other students did on that, for example. This student did this, the maximum profit of 298,000 with a total of this many units made and this many units bought, and just compared across the 3 different solutions. Here's the observations I had for what changed, okay? You think you can do that with, the sheet I just built for you and these other students' examples? Hello?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Then I will email you back.
Okay.
Not this file. This is a tutoring template for Unit 3. I'm talking with somebody else tomorrow on. So I will send you this one that is other students' work on just Chapter 9, Exercise 7. I'll send you this. I will also send you this file we just worked on together. So you watched me just now work all of Unit 2 homework. So you already had question 1 correct. So we started at question 2. Okay. And then I showed you a version of question 2 that has a distance limit in it. You'll need to spend some energy on this because there is a question like that on the final. Then we worked this one, and we worked this one, and we worked all of number 7. So in order for you to get credit for this homework set, all I want you to do is put lots and lots of comments in here for me, okay?
Okay.
Then once we get that, I'll send you the Unit 2 exam that going through the process of commenting here, you might actually do better on the exam than you think you will. But then you'll try the exam, and I'll give you feedback. And then just like what we just did here, we'll work Unit 3 homework together from beginning to end, okay?
Okay.
Obviously, I can't give you an A in the class for doing it this way, but we will get you passed so you can graduate, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You bet. So relax, get some sleep tonight. We will work through this together and get you across that stage next week, okay?
Okay, I'm gonna try. I can't sleep since I have this on my mind. I'm gonna try work on it at the end of the day. I'll send you what I did and
Okay.
let me know if there's anything I have to add.
Yeah, just err on the side of typing lots and lots of comments. I just want to see your thoughts. I want to know that you're trying to interpret the model.
Okay.
Okay? And we will
Okay.
get this figured out, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right.
Have a good
Email
day,
me after you
sir.
try it,
Bye-bye.
and you have a good day too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.